Hi there, Jay Eaker here at the BioSoul Integration Center in Louisville, Colorado, and today I want to talk about how there are 3 different components to pain and how in our experience of any one kind of pain, it's always some combination of these different kinds of pain all tangled up. Often there's parts of the pain that we're sort of unaware of. And if we want to really resolve the pain, we got to kind of address all of those types. If you really want to resolve it, you got to address all of those different types of pain. Also, my definition of resolve doesn't necessarily mean that pain's going to go away. There actually are more empowering solutions to pain than just having it go away, believe it or not. So if you, and I'll talk about that. So if you could please like this, if you give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, pass this along to people who might be interested, that would be great. So 3 different kinds of pain. Of course, there's physical pain, and there's a few categories of physical pain. There's kind of acute pain that you might experience if you put your hand on a hot stove or you broke your arm or something like that. Then there's kind of stress-related pain that, you know, the back pain, the neck pain, the joint pain that kind of sneaks up on us, seems like as we get older, maybe. And then there's chronic pain, and chronic pain could be associated with some long-standing injury. Usually, you know, it's tied to some sort of condition, arthritis or fibromyalgia or one of those sort of mystery conditions. There's a lot of mystery conditions out there, conditions that the medical world doesn't exactly know what causes them. And then, you know, there's psychological pain, and psychological pain is usually, it's the thoughts, the emotions around some perceived inadequacy of self. And depending on the specific kind of psychological pain that you want to focus on, it could be called suffering, it could be called mental pain, emotional pain, psychic pain, social pain. And then there's spiritual pain. And this is kind of my own definition of spiritual pain, but if we, you know, it's like when we're not really connected to source, and we're not sure who we are and why we're here. We're not connected to our purpose. So maybe we're kind of lost and we don't have direction in life. There's a particular way life kind of sucks, if that's the case, and that's called spiritual pain. And it could also be called existential pain or soul pain. And in the real world experience, all these kinds of pains are not separate like I just listed them. They're always tangled up together. Research shows that the circuitry that might be associated with acute pain, like from putting your hand on a hot stove, actually is shared with it's the same circuitry that when we feel pain associated with like a breakup or something like that. And I bet that you know that plays out in your life as well. If you've ever experienced physical pain, you know that there might be, even with an acute injury, there's like fear involved. There's emotions involved with that. With stress-related pain, we might be worried about, say, back pain or something. We might be worried about our ability to do our work, or our ability to do the things that we love, or our ability to be with our kids or our grandkids, or things like that as a result of the pain. So there's emotional, psychological stuff involved with the physical pain. And certainly with chronic pain, I'd say chronic pain, the hidden cause of chronic pain is unprocessed emotion. And if we pay close enough attention, we'd actually find out that our experience of the physical pain is impacted by our ability to sort of be aware of the psychological factors of physical pain. And then there's psychological pain, and again, psychological pain has physical components. If you've ever experienced a loss of a loved one or a bad breakup or anything like that, you know that the anguish of that, actually there's a physical component to that. Heartache actually hurts in a physical way. That's why they call it heartache. And again, believe it or not, your experience of the physical parts of that pain actually affect your experience of the psychological parts. And so if we want to really resolve pain, we've got to sort of address all of those aspects. We sort of have to be aware of all those aspects. You can kind of consider pain, I kind of look at pain as being sort of a knot, like a knotted rope. And kind of, you know, I stumbled, in researching this video, I sort of stumbled upon this woman. Her name is Cicely Saunders, and she's passed away now, but she was kind of the pioneer of hospice. You know, when people are dying, that's hospice care. She's kind of a pioneer in that area, and she kind of talked about how when people know that they're going to die, it kind of brings all their stuff to the surface, and all these different kind of pains come to the surface: social, spiritual, physical, all of it, you know, kind of comes to the surface, and that you kind of have to, there's kind of like a door that kind of opens up, or a door of awareness that the fact that people know that they're going to die kind of brings to the surface, and it kind of prompts this kind of crisis, and this sort of encounter with acute, what she calls total pain. And that term is really apropos to the transformational process. There are times in our life when life and our bodies kind of conspire to say, hey, we're going to move to this next stage of our life, and the energy that's been bound up in our bodies as a result of the old way of doing ourselves starts to come to the surface, and pain might come to the surface. And that's often when I run into people in my office, is when there's some sort of transition happening in their lives, and it's kind of bringing pain to the surface. And if they're gonna sort of, there's an opportunity to sort of sequence through this layer of a sense of self that's based on an old way of being. If we want to sort of sequence that through, we kind of have to experience this total pain, all of these different kinds of pain, to sort of heal that layer, because there are many layers of these things. And in that context, resolving pain doesn't necessarily mean, like I said, that pain is gonna go away. I mean it sort of in the strictest sense of the word. First of all, it just means to find a solution, and often that solution is another kind of the word resolve in another sense, which is to sort of like you do with your camera, like you do this, and it sort of makes the picture bigger and you get closer in. It's the same thing. We want to resolve pain, which means looking more closely, getting real clear on what's going on with the pain, getting clear on all the different parts of the knot. Like you can't, you know, you don't untie a knot by holding it here at arm's length, do you? No, you have to get really close to the knot, and you have to sort of massage each of the strands of the knot. You have to pay attention to each of the strands in order to kind of like massage this knot loose. And that's kind of the same thing that you have to do with pain. You have to see how all the different parts kind of relate to each other if you really want to resolve the pain. And this sort of consciousness of trying to make pain go away, that's kind of that's a problem. You know, when we fight against something, push against something, especially something that's living, it tends to push back. And the truth is, pain is kind of a living thing. It has a consciousness. It has a consciousness of its own. I made a video a little while back about something called the pain body. It's a term that Eckhart Tolle, author, spiritual teacher, came up with, and I'll put a link up here somewhere to that video, but you'll kind of see how pain actually has a consciousness of its own. You know, if you sort of make pain go away, make back pain, let's say, back pain go away today, you know, it could show up as digestive issues tomorrow. And if you try to make digestive issues go away today, because the gut is so connected to our mood, it might end up, you know, manifesting in depression down the road. So pain, it's a living thing. It wants to get our attention, and it will require that we pay attention to. You know, it gets louder and louder. It will make us pay attention, basically. So it'll make itself be seen and heard, I guess you could say, as a living, sort of a living entity. And so, yeah, there's a consciousness change happening. And Albert Einstein, he said that you can't solve a problem from the same consciousness that caused it. And so that's what we're doing, is kind of creating a consciousness change in order to resolve pain. So just by bringing our attention to pain, it starts to integrate the energy that's bound up in the pain. That knot starts to unravel. Physical energy gets processed and released. We start to feel the emotions that are tied up in there. And, you know, when we, as a result of letting ourselves feel grief and shame and anger and fear and things like that, it gives us more access to joy and awe and gratitude and things like that. And that sort of influences our thoughts, influences the stories that we tell ourselves, or that that we've been telling ourselves for a long time, that are associated with pain. And we become more aware of our soul's gifts as a result, and we start to be able to share those gifts with others. And you know, so having said that, there's a good chance that doing what I'm talking about will make the pain go away. It'll make it stop hurting. But even if it doesn't, you know, because of the consciousness change, consciousness shift, really, pain, it just won't be the problem that it used to be. So there's different kinds of pain. There's 3 different kinds of pain. They're all tied together, kind of like a tangled up knot. If we want to resolve pain, we have to sort of look at that knot and tease all, and become aware of all the different strands, and tease it apart that way. And when we do that, pain kind of becomes a portal for your transformation. So I hope you found this video useful and interesting. If you could like it, share it, subscribe to my channel, that'd be great. Pass it along to anyone who might be interested. And I look forward to helping you express more life. Have a great day.